With the Oscars around the corner in March, Bahir and I are making our way through all of the Oscar nominated films. But before we start reviewing those, because there are quite a few we haven't gotten to yet because they're not available easily for us to watch, we thought we might review some of the great movies that had Oscar potential and Oscar buzz, but kind of fizzled out by the time January 2026 rolled around. Those movies are Rental Family, Deliver Me From Nowhere, which is the Bruce Springsteen biopic, J. Kelly, which we thought was a shoo-in, at least for Adam Sandler. We're going to be talking about these movies. We're going to be analyzing what potentially went wrong and why they didn't get the recognition they might have deserved. But before that, there is a brand new film out on Prime Video that is an absolute blast. It's called Wrecking Crew, and I didn't go into this expecting much because from the trailer I thought, oh, okay, it's standard streaming action fare. And this one stars Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista. And I should have known better because the both of them have incredible chemistry and are phenomenal actors and underrated actors. And when you put them together on screen, man, this is a buddy action film, the likes of which I haven't seen in years. It was a lot of fun.
I think it was a Screen Rant article or something. I can't remember, but someone sort of said that this is the movie that Hobbs and Shaw wanted to be.
Yes, correct.
And I kind of buy that. And I guess that's just purely because of who the leads are in Hobbs and Shaw, but they were too serious. Here, Jason Momoa is having so much fun. I dare say maybe a little too much fun. And I think Batista is not having enough fun. But I think because of that, they balance each other out a little bit. Like Batista plays the sort of straight-laced Navy SEAL elder brother. Momoa is the washed-up, slightly dangerous police officer who may or may not be suspended at the moment with pay. That was a perfect balance, I thought.
They play estranged brothers who come together in Hawaii to investigate the suspicious death of their father. He apparently died in a hit and run situation, but Jason Momoa's character believes that he may have been murdered. They were also estranged from their father. They didn't like him very much, but he was a private investigator in Hawaii with ties to the mob, the syndicate, and the Yakuza. Now, I think the reason this works as well as it does is because it knows exactly the kind of movie it is. You said they don't play it serious, but there are a lot of serious moments in this movie. And I think the reason why it works is because the director, Angel Manuel Soto, knows when to make a joke and knows when to lean into the serious emotional stuff. I mean, he directed Blue Beetle, and it was the same way. Blue Beetle was one of my favorite DCEU projects, right? It was probably the one good thing to come out of that Zack Snyder era. It was funny, it was about family, it was emotional, and it played into that superhero stuff really well. And Wrecking Crew follows a very similar formula. It's about family, and there is this overarching Lethal Weapon-esque plot that's happening involving a murder and the cops and the mob and the syndicate and the Yakuza and all of this stuff. But it really strikes a great balance in how all of these threads come together. And I think that's why it works so well. Like, these sorts of action, comedy, buddy, cop type things are a dime a dozen on streaming, and the vast majority of them are garbage. Like, they're so disposable.
I know when I said that Hobbs and Shaw took itself too seriously, I think in the sense that I think they forget that these movies are supposed to be fun. Angel Manuel Soto completely remembers that this is supposed to be a fun action film. This isn't supposed to be some plodding, gritty, over the top, violent movie. It's supposed to be an over the top action movie. Yes, this movie's got some violence in it, which I found kind of surprising because I didn't think I would see hands being ripped off in a fight scene.
But also incredibly satisfying because those assholes had it coming.
Yeah, but even then, it's like it never felt malicious.
Yes, it never felt gratuitous either.
Yeah, even when the hand was ripped out of his shoulder, you're just like, haha, look at Morena Baccarin's face. You know,
Yeah.
so it's always a little bit silly fun. And I think that is what really sort of, for me, elevated this thing. I think elevated is probably the wrong word, but that's what made this very satisfying and fun to watch.
Also, the both of them live up to the name Wrecking Crew. If you're going to call your movie Wrecking Crew, there needs to be motherfucking mayhem
Yeah.
throughout this movie. And there is. And I think that's where the Lethal Weapon comparison comes in, because even in that series, Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, is supposed to be the wild card, right? You never know what he's going to do. He's going to do some crazy ass shit. And he does in those series of movies. But in this one as well, it's called The Wrecking Crew, and there is carnage. Whenever these two are together, cars are flipping, explosions are happening, the city is being destroyed. And I think that works because the movie leans into what it is and it's not ashamed of it.
There was a point early on in the film where Dave Bautista's character goes to an adult shop and tries to get footage of a security camera. And they look like the film looked like it was ramping up for a big fight scene.
Yes.
And then they didn't, right? I was kind of like,
it happened,
oh.
but they didn't show it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, are they going to chicken out? Are they going to keep doing this and just save their budget for one big sequence at the end? But they didn't. I think that was like a really conscious fake out, and I really liked that.
It was, and it was that. It was exactly that. It was a conscious fake out because you're not supposed to see what Batista can do until later.
Yes.
Because we see Momoa lose his shit, and we know that he is uncontrollable when he's drunk, but we don't know what the Navy SEAL can do. And then later, when he does his shit, it's very cool.
That attack on Jason Momoa's house in Oklahoma
At the beginning
of this film, I think 10 minutes in, I dare say that is one of the best fight sequences
Agreed.
I've seen in a very long time.
And also, it's so much fun.
Can I just point out why? The stunt crew is Jackie Chan's stunt crew.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
As I was watching that, I was going, yeah, this feels like a Jackie Chan stunt crew.
Also, can I just say, there were more moments in this movie that I laughed out loud than a lot of comedies I've seen recently.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just Jason Momoa off the cuff stuff.
It feels like it, right?
John Cena gets called out.
When Jacob Batalon does some parkour and jumps off roofs, and then he just goes, "Fuck you, fat Jackie Chan."
Yeah. Look, I think and you may disagree with me on this, but I know I would definitely have a higher standard for this if it was a cinema release. However, it being a streaming release, I think this cleared the bar easily for me.
Interesting. I think after watching it, I wanted to see this on the big screen and laugh along with people.
Yeah, see, you like other people. I don't.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
I found this completely satisfying watching at home. Like, about 2/3 of the way through the movie, there's a big sort of action sequence that I didn't enjoy, mostly because it was a CGI action sequence. And at that point, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, would I have been okay with this being in the cinema? And I think I wouldn't have, but at the same time, I also know that they wouldn't have done it CGI if it was a cinema release. I think they would have done it more practical.
They probably would have had a much bigger budget.
Yeah, the budget for this, although I can't find it, has been assumed to be within the 70 to 100 million range, which is very cheap.
For this sort of movie, yeah, for sure.
With a movie that's got Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Tamura Morrison, okay, maybe not necessarily Jacob Batalon or Morena Baccarin, but for this kind of action movie, 70 to 100 is pretty cheap.
I will go back and keep beating this drum, but I do think that Dave Bautista is one of the best actors in Hollywood at the moment and has tremendous range and isn't given enough to do in a lot of movies.
I will say I feel like his age is starting to show,
A
which is
little bit.
unfortunate.
A
Yeah,
little bit.
like it's the same with like Cena. I thought he was fantastic in the first season of Peacemaker, but in the most recent one, you're like, yeah, you're getting old. And not in a bad way, just like you're not running as comfortably as you used to, so the camera's not always in your face. No, I completely agree with you. I think Dave Bautista, when I saw him in Blade Runner, that really just shook the hell out of me.
And he was in it for 5 minutes.
He was in it for 5 minutes, and I think he was probably the best 5 minutes of that film.
He's great. He's got some fantastic lines as well. And I think that's the other thing that I really enjoyed about this movie, in that it leaned into the cool. It knew how to deliver those moments that you need from an action buddy comedy that is cool, that makes you pump your fist in the air. Like, he's talking to Stephen Root, who plays the chief of police, and Stephen Root's like, you guys want to lay off, you don't want to go poking the bear. And he just looks at him and goes, I am the bear. And I'm just like, motherfucker, yeah.
Yeah. And even then, at the end of that scene, when they were leaving the police chief's office, just Jason Momoa shooting off his mouth, fighting like brothers with Dave Bautista. I loved those moments.
The chemistry is great. The both of them are just so natural.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Jason Momoa is just being Jason Momoa lah.
As he is in every movie. Even in Dune.
Even in Dune, he is still pretty much it's just volumes of Jason Momoa, right? Like,
Yeah.
But as a director, I think if you're gonna cast someone like Jason Momoa, you have to know the role that you're bringing for that, right? This movie would not work if it was flipped. That is what brings a lot of the fun in this. Even then, I just want to say quickly as well, there's a moment halfway through this film where the two brothers go at it outside a police station. At the end of that sequence, those are very emotional moments, I thought. I thought that was also just really, really classy acting by Momoa that we hadn't seen in a while.
No, you're right. And I think all of those moments between the both of them, they really knew how to play it. And I think it was very well written as well. I have to say, this was another thing that I've noticed about the Prime Video movies and the action movies, and even that other one with Cena and Elba playing the president and the prime minister,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed, Heads of State. That was a lot of
Yes.
fun as well. I noticed that they don't have that Netflix template. They're not repeating the same stuff. In a lot of Netflix movies and Netflix TV shows, I mean, it's a directive by Netflix now. We know that, right? Matt Damon has admitted to it. There is that idea that they're explaining stuff to you because you're on your phone and not paying complete attention. Meanwhile, I found that with a lot of Prime Video movies, it doesn't seem to be the case. The writing seems to be a lot tighter. These seem to be movies that have been made like movies.
Yeah.
Which is very good.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
I agree. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Wrecking Crew, it's definitely worth your time. It is a lot of fun. And especially if you enjoyed the old school buddy cop movies, buddy action comedies like Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours, and movies of that ilk, this is a real, genuine, well-made throwback to that sort of thing. Prime Video, check it out. Let us know what you think when you do. All right, let's take a look at some of these movies that we thought had tremendous Oscar potential. And not just us, mind you. It opened in festivals. Even the festival people, all of those journalists that got early access were all Oscar buzzy about these movies. And then something happened and they kind of fizzled out. We also haven't reviewed these movies on the Goggler podcast, so we thought now might be a good time to talk about these movies. In particular, Rental Family, Deliver Me From Nowhere, and Jay Kelly. Rental Family and Jay Kelly, both Bahir and I really enjoyed. Deliver Me From Nowhere, we had differing opinions. I am a hardcore Bruce Springsteen fan. Bahir is a casual listener, and he thinks the movie is more for the hardcore fan. But before we get into that, what do you think went wrong with these movies? Like, all of them are really well made, well constructed, and even if they weren't getting the best picture noms, what I thought might work were the performances, because they were really standout performances. I'm not talking about George Clooney and Jay Kelly because he was good, but he was playing George Clooney, right? I'm talking about Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, Billy Crudup, Jeremy Allen White, Jeremy Strong, even. Across these movies, those were standout performances.
My thing with the names you mentioned, I think like specifically with like Jeremy Strong and Adam Sandler, not necessarily Jeremy Strong and Adam Sandler. I think my issue with even the names you mentioned, I think like Billy Crudup, for me, I don't think he did enough in the movie to be considered supporting actor.
I don't know, man. Judi Dench won for like 3 minutes of screen time.
Okay, I guess.
I mean, I love Judi Dench, and I've seen Shakespeare in Love many times, and I'm just like, I don't think you did enough, lady.
My thing is this: I don't think it's a what went wrong situation. I just think it's the field is just too tight. I think okay, so say you think Jeremy Allen White deserves a nomination, right? Say you think he deserves a best actor nomination. Who would you take out?
Okay, so that's the question I was struggling with because obviously I liked all of those performances, but for them to get nominated, we'd have to lose some of the other great performances.
So my thing is less that I think there was a thing against these films or that these films didn't deserve it. I think it's more of like there were other performances that were stellar. I'm not saying they were better. I just think that on balance, I think it was just one of those things it could have gone either way. For example, like I think Delroy Lindo's performance is great,
Yes,
but I prefer Adam Sandler's performance.
I agree. So here's the thing. I think Delroy Lindo was one of those situations where it's time to recognize Delroy Lindo.
Sure.
I would have ditched Leo.
I would have ditched Leo.
But
Absolutely.
I
would
also
have ditched
think
Leo.
Leonardo DiCaprio is like the Jack Nicholson of the Oscars now, or the Meryl Streep. I think every time he turns in a good performance, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, that's Oscar worthy for sure."
Yeah.
But I would have ditched Leo. I think for Best Actor, especially, I would have definitely ditched Leo, and I think I would have put in Brendan Fraser. I know it feels like Brendan Fraser doing Brendan Fraser, but it isn't because if you look at his range compared to a George Clooney situation, if you look at Gods and Monsters, if you look at George of the fucking Jungle versus The Whale versus Rental Family, I think Rental Family is closer to who Brendan Fraser is as a human being, maybe. But I thought it was a tremendously warm performance. It's actually very difficult to pull off. More so given that he's playing a white guy in Japan.
I think to go back to what you were saying earlier, I think it's the kind of thing where like Leo only does prestige Oscar performances. And I think that's probably the difference.
Like, Brendan Fraser's going to go back and do The Mummy, right? I mean, he's still doing that
Sure,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, Leo's not making a fun movie anymore.
Ever. When was the last time he made a fun fucking movie, Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, I can't think of one.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like, it's always been these
Like Wolf of Wall Street, Revenant, The Departed.
prestigious, hard, like, you know, movies where the roles have taken a toll on the actor because
Yeah.
he was capital A acting, you know? And I think that's kind of the problem with Leonardo DiCaprio in that, and I think that's probably explains why he doesn't win so many times, is because he deserves to be nominated because he makes Oscar films, but somebody else's performance was just better.
When are they going to finally give Adam Sandler his due? It's like, I have that question about Jim Carrey as well. And with Jim Carrey, I don't want them to give him his due when Jim Carrey does some fucking dramatic role, right? I don't want that shit. Jim Carrey is probably the greatest comedic actor of our generation, and they just don't give a fuck.
You know what it is? I think Carey needs to lean more prior.
Maybe.
He doesn't have to make a dramatic work, but he has to be the comedy in a dramatic work. And I think that's the difference.
But it looks like with Sandler as well, the buzz only ever occurs with Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love and Jay Kelly and these sorts of movies, right? But actually, his comedy work is very, very strong. I'm not talking about fucking Hubie Halloween, but the other stuff.
I think that's the problem.
I don't know, man. I think he should be allowed, like, given how good he is and how successful he is, there's range there. I mean, sometimes he just wants to do stupid shit and have fun, lah.
Okay, so I think the problem is if I was to tell my parents to go check out, Sandler's Hustle, which is on Netflix, fantastic basketball film, my parents wouldn't, because they would be thinking to themselves, what? That guy that did Hubie
Is it Little
Halloween,
Nicky, right?
is it
Yeah.
Little Nicky? Adam Sandler does stupid comedy, which I don't like. And I think that's the problem. I think, and you're right, he used to do really good comedy. And then he's just done some really trashy stuff that is just, it's hard. Like, it's hard to break that, I think. So for me,
Yeah.
he needs to do more Jay Kelly. He needs to do more Hustle. He needs to do more Uncut Gems, the Meyerowitz stories, all of that stuff. He needs to stop doing fucking murder mystery. You know what I'm saying? Like, when
I didn't mind the first one.
Okay.
But you're right. The second one was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. So, like, and I think that's the problem. I think for the layman
Yeah.
who think Adam Sandler, they think Happy Gilmore. They think maybe not necessarily Billy Madison. And Billy Madison was fantastic.
What about Deliver Me From Nowhere, though? I think Jeremy Allen White completely subsumed himself into that role. He looked the part. He walked the part. He fucking sang all the songs. Like, that is Oscar Beatty shit right there, right? That is Rami Malek doing Freddie Mercury. It had all the stuff. Maybe they just didn't run a good enough campaign. Maybe they lost steam after the movie got mixed reviews. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just lukewarm. Yeah, maybe Searchlight or 20th Century just went, let's not spend too much money on this.
I think it's that. I think it's that thing of, like, maybe the Jeremy Allen White fandom wasn't enough to break the I don't listen to Bruce Springsteen fandom.
Yeah.
When it came out, didn't do things, and they're just like, you know what, that's fine.
But also, let's not forget, Jeremy Allen White is a TV star, not a movie star. And I think that also plays a factor, especially in voters' minds, when picking these categories, right? And actually, even with audiences. I mean, you may like him on The Bear, but that may not translate to you buying a ticket to watching him on the big screen.
For me, it's that. I think it was a good movie. I think it was...
What didn't you like about it? Can I tell you what I liked about it? I liked the fact that it didn't feel like an average biopic. Like, I was completely surprised by the movie because I went in blind. I just seen the trailer, and the trailer doesn't give anything away. And it literally was this meditation on depression that takes place over like a month of his life or whatever as he's writing this album and how he came up with the album Nebraska. And I learned new stuff about Springsteen that I didn't know because I hadn't read the book that it's based on. And for me, all of it was kind of surprising and new and bolstered by two really solid fucking performances.
Two solid performances and Paul Walter Hauser, which I just love. I was annoyed that he wasn't in it more.
I was annoyed he wasn't Mole Man more in Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He was so good. But anyway,
Yeah.
so for me, all of it kind of just worked lah. Why didn't you connect?
It's because I didn't care for any of those things. For me, Bruce Springsteen is the guy that sings those songs. I'm not a fan enough to know why he was battling depression or that he had a difficult relationship with his father or that, he rented the house to write Nebraska. I just like, okay, cool. I like some of those songs. So for me, it's that I was hoping for it to be a rousing concert-like movie. I was hoping for a big, this is who fucking Bruce Springsteen is, rousing kind of film. And I didn't get it. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I completely agree with you. This quiet, meditative story about depression that is being faced by a man in the late 80s who was supposed to be at the top of his game. And I think that is an interesting story. I didn't see enough rousing moments, I think that's kind of the thing for me. I think if this movie wasn't, okay. I put this movie on the same wavelength as The Wrestler.
Right. Okay.
It's not big, it's not powerful, it's not like anthemic. I wanted an anthemic film, which is what the Queen movie was.
And also the Elton John movie.
which is what the Elton John movie was. Exactly, right? So I kind of wanted that. I think that's why I sort of, at the end of the film, I was like, okay, cool. Great performance. Didn't really get to hear any of the songs I liked, you know? So that's kind of where it left me.
I also thought it was very interesting that the movie was made in such close collaboration with Springsteen, and yet it didn't pull any of its punches with regards to who his father was. It really portrayed his father in a pretty dark light.
I feel like that's the kind of thing you can only do when the person you're talking about is later stages of life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this movie would have flown if Springsteen was 40.
Yeah.
Because at this point in his life, it's almost like the truth is more powerful than trying to hide it. And I like that. Stephen Graham's performance was also fantastic. But yeah, that's kind of why I found it very lukewarm.
For me, other than Sinners, Rental Family was probably my favorite movie of 2025. In that I really enjoyed it for what it stood for. I think Sinners was artistically peak. And then Rental Family was wholesome in a way that I needed.
Yeah.
When I watch Rental Family, I feel the same way that I do when I'm watching something like Shrinking. Because I think with everything going on, like whatever ICE, Epstein files, all this shit happening in the world, it's so rare that we see stories about accountability and kindness. And I don't mean it even in just a sappy, sentimental, saccharine way, right? In a real way. Like the climax of Rental Family, when you watch it and you see what all these characters are going through, I think is phenomenal. It's very, very clever writing with regards to how these people are portrayed. It isn't just sentimental schmaltz. I think the way it ends, when the movie starts, it feels like that. And it feels like it's heading in that direction. It feels very hallmarky. But I think the way Hikari brings it together at the end, she's very, very clever. How she does that. I think that was very, very good. And so for me, Brendan Fraser is just another one of those actors where I'm so glad he finally got his due with The Whale, but I think it was the wrong thing. Like, I didn't enjoy The Whale, and I didn't enjoy him in The Whale.
I think The Whale is capital A acting.
Yes,
you know,
correct.
It's he lost himself in the role, and I
Put
don't
on
even
all this weight.
I don't even see
prosthetics.
George of the Jungle anymore, you know. And
Right.
I feel like Rental Family is the one movie that it's the movie you rewatch.
For sure. Like, I'm never going to watch Deliver Me From Nowhere again.
Probably not. Yeah. Okay. So here's the comparison I've got for you. Okay. I love me a good comparison.
Go.
Sinners is big. Sinners is a rock concert. Sinners is a fucking 10-course Michelin meal. Rental Family is that great bowl of ramen you had in that one izakaya in some side street in Japan.
Correct.
Rental Family
Pure
is
comfort.
Rental Family is a coffee in a quiet cafe playing afternoon jazz and it's raining outside. That's what Rental Family is. Sinners will entertain you and entertains you. Rental Family will almost recharge your battery slowly.
And that's exactly how I felt when I left the cinema. I watched Rental Family and I felt rejuvenated. Like, I was like, I have faith in the world again.
Sinners makes you want to fight. Rental Family just makes you say, everything will be okay. Hope is there in the world. And I agree with you. I feel like not enough of those films get recognized. There's always this push for, like, I haven't seen Begonia. I've seen clips of it. I'm like, man, this is just going to be one of those like really capital A acting, strong performances type movies. Whereas I'd much rather watch Rental Family again, you know? And yeah, I feel like movies like Rental Family and Perfect Days don't get the love that they deserve. I think if you're in America and you're American and you want to fight, then sure, you want to get up for it. Yeah, watch Sinners. But for the rest of us, I think the rest of us just want something like Rental Family to just remind us that the world can be hopeful. And Rental Family was absolutely what I was expecting from a Japanese made film starring Brendan Fraser. For me, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Agreed. Same. Really, really love that movie. Like, before we wrap things up, I guess we can talk about Jay Kelly. Jay Kelly is a strange movie for me in the sense that I managed to catch it on the big screen when I was in Sydney, and it was doing that Netflix few week run so they can qualify for whatever lah. I really enjoyed the movie as I was watching it. And I think it's a very well made film with very good performances. And George Clooney is amazing. Like, you understand why he's a movie star. But after leaving the movie, I realized that maybe it was too inside Hollywood for the general public. Like, if you're like you and me and you've read about agents and managers and publicists and how they work with stars and the sordid details, the sweet details, all of that stuff, this kind of plays into that rabbit hole you once went down.
The best of the best, right? This is what you hope for Hollywood people to be.
And it also feels like Noah Baumbach is pulling from all of the stories that he knows, from all of the people he's met. But I don't know if someone who has absolutely no interest in Hollywood or movie stars will appreciate this movie in the same way. And I'm not saying that as a caveat, because I think a great movie will appeal to everyone regardless. Which is why I bring it up, because I think maybe this isn't Noah Baumbach's strongest work. And so, in comparison with all of the other good stuff he's done, maybe Academy voters also went, yeah, it's all right. It's the least we should expect from Noah Baumbach, but it's not the best.
Again, I think I go back to that statement I made early on, right? How is Jay Kelly standing up to Begonia, Frankenstein, F1, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams?
Actually, wait, you raised something when you watched it. You texted me as you were watching it when it dropped on Netflix, and you said, this doesn't feel cinematic, it feels like a Netflix movie. And I think you're right. I don't know what it is. The coloring, the look.
It's the size of the frame.
Maybe.
It's the size of the frame. You compare that to something like Train Dreams.
Yeah, Train Dreams looks magnificent.
It's beautiful. Train Dreams you want to watch on the big screen, right? Because there's such care in setup. Whereas with Jay Kelly, it was just like, oh yeah, here we're in Italy. Here we are in a train. There's no outside shots. There's no establishing rolling hills of Italy. There's none of that.
There's no real aesthetic.
There's no aesthetic. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I bring it up because I'm surprised that Train Dreams got a Best Picture nomination. I fucking love that movie. If I'm voting right now, I'd pick Train Dreams only because I thought it was the most interesting story there. Obviously, I haven't seen Secret Agent, haven't seen Sentimental Value, haven't seen Begonia. But I thought it was the most interesting story there because of who the subject was and what the subject was going through. I think Jay Kelly it's a 10 out of 10 Netflix movie. That's what it is, right? All those actors, that cast is fantastic. The story is fine. It's amusing. It's cute. Billy Crudup's handful of minutes on screen. Specifically, there's one where he's in a cafe and George Clooney's Jay Kelly makes Billy Crudup's character read the menu in a dramatic acting way. And it blows me the fuck away every time. But I don't think that is enough for this film.
So, where can you watch all of these? Jay Kelly is on Netflix. Deliver Me From Nowhere is on Disney Plus. And Rental Family is coming to Disney Plus really, really soon, in just a couple of weeks. February 18th, it will be on Disney Plus. And we strongly urge you to check all of them out if you haven't already. Wrecking Crew is available to watch on Prime Video, which you should watch because it is the most fun you will have this week. Let us know what you think about all of these movies. Let us know if you think some of them deserved Oscar nominations over the ones that were nominated. You know how to reach out. We're on Instagram on GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.